set the mood.
On Star Trek: The Next Generation. And now, the conclusion.
You know who's recording? Yes!
Captain, no less than 2 hours of reserve oxygen.
Computer, pause playback.
Casualties reported on deck 26 and 27.
That was one of an early set of internet videos called the TNG edits, made in part by this beautiful bastard here, one Andrew Hussey. If you are of a certain age, this man is responsible for your personality. In 2009, he would upload the first panel of a webcomic that would continue for the next 7 years and become one of the longest works of English literature. For context, the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy is 455,000 words long. Atlas Shrugged is 645,000 words. Homestuck's word count is 1 million. Hello, I'm Hawkwood. I have a literature degree and a YouTube channel, which means I'm an expert on everything. Let's start with some frequently asked questions. Is that your real name? No. Is that your real voice? No. Moving on. Quick show of hands. Who here has no idea what the hell Homestuck is? Hell yes. Practically everyone. Homestuck is a complicated story with a complicated history. It started a lot of friendships and ended just as many. It birthed a lot of online places. Birthed a lot of online communities, launched a lot of careers, and changed anime conventions forever. But of course, we can't talk about a shitpost webcomic from 2009 until we discuss the cultural relevance of a satirical, fictitious traveler's tale from the 1700s. Specifically, travels into several remote nations of the world in 4 parts by Lemuel Gulliver, first a surgeon, and then a captain of several ships. Or its more common title, Gulliver's Travels. Gulliver's Travels is a literary classic, which means even if you don't know about it, you know about it. It's been referenced by the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Earthbound, Star Trek, friggin' Digimon, Doctor Who, Fables, and that Studio Ghibli movie with the castle in the sky. You might also know it from a TV miniseries starring Michael from The Good Place, or from a movie that Jack Black apparently did. The gist of the thing is that our boy Gulliver goes to some weird places. He meets small people, big people, science people, dead people, horse people, and he goes to Japan. It's a fun and absurd adventure story, and you can enjoy it without thinking too hard about it, which is what I always did, and that's the problem. Apparently, enjoying it without thinking too hard about it is the exact fucking opposite of what you're supposed to do, but that's our fault for not reading it in 1726. Because it turns out, context matters. A lot of those silly and absurd characters are actually direct allusions that someone in the 1700s would immediately recognize. You can still enjoy the story, but unless you've got a history book by your side, you're not reading Travels into Several Remote Nations of the World in 4 parts by Lemuel Gulliver, first a surgeon and then a captain of several ships. You're reading Gulliver's Travels. So anyway, what the hell is Homestuck? Shit. Homestuck is a literary classic, which means even if you haven't heard about it, you've heard about it. Beautiful bastard Andrew Hussey described it as a shitpost epic, which is fair, but it's sort of like describing Star Trek as a story about sailing. To really understand what the hell Homestuck is, we have to do literary analysis, beginning with what the hell is the plot? Remember Jumanji? Homestuck is basically Jumanji. It's a story about a bunch of kids that play a cursed game that fucks up a lot of shit. And then they have to go on an adventure to finish the game so they can unfuck everything. And now pretend that Jumanji was a piece of metatextual literary comedy. There are memes everywhere, and instead of screwing a small town, you screwed the multiverse. It's like that. The story revolves around 4 13-year-old kids and their attempt to play a game called Spurb. It's a beta version of an online co-op house building simulator / RPG, where winning the long tutorial rewards you with getting isekai'd into the game world, which is good because everything outside of the game world gets exploded by meteors.
Real quick, explain what an isekai is for the normies here.
No. A lot of the story revolves around dealing with obtuse game mechanics and trying to either learn them or break them. This can span from quick one-off jokes to serious plot-relevant retcons. One of the running gags of the story is a game FAQ that one of the characters is writing, detailing the bullshit game mechanics and how they maybe work. By the way, Homestuck is told non-linearly because of fucking course it is. A lot of the chat logs are out of sync, and it may take a lot of pages before you get to the same chat log again from the other point of view. And you're also just as likely to see a quick image of something crazy that hasn't happened yet and isn't going to for quite a while. This is a recurring trait of Homestuck. The multiple timelines can span hundreds of years and intersect at various points and not always in the right order. Speaking of time, there's a lot of it. What starts as a story about 4 kids quickly becomes a story about 4 kids, 12 trolls, 12 other trolls, 4 other kids, and 2 cherubs. Not to mention the Midnight Crew, the Felt, and you get the idea. This spans roughly 400 million years, and that's just the story involving our universe. So what the hell is Homestuck? What the hell is the medium? If Gulliver's Travels is a direct parody of the Traveler's Tales literary subgenre, then Homestuck can only be described as a parody of point-and-click and text adventure games. These used to be hella popular, and now they're not. In these games, the player would issue commands to a character, ordering them to interact with objects, speak with NPCs, and solve puzzles. The world of Homestuck is both a celebration and a mockery of the genre, with Andrew Hussey acting as the game engine himself and the story taking the form of a pseudo-interactive webcomic. He would post a panel onto his website, and forum users would vote on what the character did next, essentially creating a single player out of a group of internet users. Hussey would then post a new panel in reply, detailing the result of the command and oftentimes mocking the player for their stupid suggestion or straight up refusing to comply. The point of this style of narration was to create an emergent story that formed organically through author-reader interaction. Hussey would later take full creative control once the fan base grew too large, but the story continued to be a conversation between the author and the audience. And Homestuck was always aware of the activities of its own fan base. Aside from the webcomic format and its looping animations, Homestuck is told through lengthy internet chat logs between the characters. Quick warning, if you're interested in reading Homestuck, pay attention to me. This is a story about teenagers on the internet in the 2000s. The language is exactly what you would expect it to be. It has not aged well. And occasionally, the story is broken up with fantastic flash animations, with game-inspired music and better art. These often involve guest artists and musicians, most notably Toby Fox, who would go on to create the game Undertale. And then sometimes Hussey would just upload an entire playable video game. Because why the hell not? As you can see, this is a multimedia clusterfuck of disparate art forms. It's not a webcomic, it's not an animation, it's not a book, and it's not a game. It's just Homestuck. So what the hell is the context? When someone tells you about Homestuck, they will inevitably tell you the same thing, that it's boring in the beginning. Specifically, they'll tell you that it gets good about 1,000 pages in. It is very long. But that is when you get to the multiple timelines and the aliens and all that good sci-fi shit. But that is not what Homestuck is. That is what happens in Homestuck. That's just the silly and absurd parts of Gulliver's Travels. It's an interesting story removed from its original context. And to understand that context, all we have to do is look at the first panel. Homestuck was released on April 13th in 2009, and the boy is celebrating his 13th birthday. This gives him a birth year of 1996, commonly considered to be the last year you can be born and be labeled a millennial. Author Andrew Hussey, born in 1979, was in the last year of Gen X. The author and the main character frame the entire millennial generation between them, cementing Homestuck as a purely millennial text. Being a story about millennials means Homestuck is a story about being online. Ours was the first generation to grow up with the internet, and it changed how we view privacy, information, porn, music, and most importantly, friendship. Parents didn't understand that online friendships could matter as much or even more than the ones IRL. The kids in Homestuck have never met, but they are closer to each other than to their only living relatives. They know each other's birthdays and embarrassing tastes and aspirations, and they can see through each other's personas. When I was in high school, the internet offered freedom that the real world didn't. I usually spent all my time in my room because it was the only place that was mine, and I didn't want to leave because it would mean a confrontation I'd rather not have. I didn't have a lot of opportunities to make friends and meet new people, but online, I could, especially through AIM. AOL Instant Messenger was a hell of a thing. You could choose your own personality and customize your text color. Your friends each had their own typing quirks. Did they capitalize the first letter of a sentence? Did they use punctuation? The kids in Homestuck, and especially the trolls, exhibit this in all its glory. You can tell from the text color if it's John or Carcott. And the leet speak shows you that it's Terzi. Now this part's going to be hard to explain if you've gotten used to texting. But when you were in a chat client, when you were online, you were online. You were sitting in front of the application. Despite being virtual, you had a presence on the internet. It was a place you were. And Homestuck is about that feeling. It's the millennial anthem. It's about contradictions. Ours was the generation with the most information and the least control. There was more money than ever, and we had less of it. And here, Spurb is a game we can't play. Homestuck is an epic that doesn't take itself seriously. Love is also hate and both and neither. You can finish the game and still lose. And it starts with those first 1,000 pages. It's quiet. The kids are just wandering around their shitty environments alone. They feel like outsiders in their own home. And they look forward to those moments where they can escape back into their room where their friends are waiting for them online. And that's what the hell Homestuck is. It's what the internet was. Real friends and real love in a real place. And it fucking mattered. And that was supposed to be the end of the presentation. But 5 days ago, the strangest thing happened. This is a teaser for a pilot for an animated adaptation of Homestuck, created by the team behind one of the most successful animated shows in recent memory, Has Been Hotel. Has Been Hotel is a literary classic, which means whatever. You're gonna see a lot more Homestuck memes in the wild. This comes out in September. Good luck.